14th of April.
Mother won't play cards. You'll have to join me.
I think we've been invited out with them.
Oh, I won't play either.
Would you like to go to the theater with them?
We're not the first, second, or third they've asked.
I don't see how that should matter.
Grant said no. Julia Dent can't stand that woman.
Don't call her that woman. She's the president's wife, and she's my friend.
The Stantons said no, followed by Misters Eckert, Ashman, Colfax, Oglesby, Yates, Haney, Howard, Brooks,
You're making a point.
Mr. and Mrs. Wallace.
You almost arrived.
Their own son said no. No one wants to sit with them. No one wants to sit with her.
And there you are.
If they'd have shot her out of a cannon at the Confederates, the war would have been over in a day.
Don't be cruel.
Well, no, we said yes.
I haven't said anything yet. Should we accept?
I leave it to you. All in all, it is an honor to be seen with him, even if it means putting up with her.
Do you talk about me like that?
Never. Come here. Tell me about our wedding.
I don't know anything about it.
Mother and father will be scandalized.
I don't care.
Cousins marry, why shouldn't we?
I don't know anything about the wedding.
Shouldn't you like to be called wife instead of sister?
Stepsister.
Wife.
Husband. I like it. I'm going to dress.
Stay.
Oh, they'll be here in 2 hours.
Stay. Wife.
Husband.
Once we are wed, you shall have to obey me.
How do you think so?
It's in the Bible or some such thing. You shall have to do as I ask, and I will relish it.
I'll do no more than what's expected of me.
Oh, I'm afraid you'll have to go quite a bit further than that.
Push me too far, and my father will have the whole of the Senate run you out of Washington.
I'd like to see him try to separate me from you. It'll take an act of Congress.
Suffer the separation for just a while. I need to dress.
How many children will we have?
I don't know.
Answer is 3.
All of this planning. I'm part of the process too, Henry.
A very important part.
And what shall their names be?
Henry Jr.
Of course. How very clever of you.
Gerald is next.
That's a nice name.
No, I chose it.
And the third?
Little Clara.
Well done.
We have a nice little brood. Henry Jr. will become a congressman.
Very impressive. I credit his parents.
As do I.
But he would certainly admonish his parents for being exceptionally casual with an invitation from the Lincolns. I'm getting dressed.
With time.
We've none. It's all but run out. Do it for the imaginary children, Henry.
Time for cards, at least one game. All right, you get dressed. Wear that white gown, the one I like. Like a bride in that dress. Well, she'll get used to seeing you as my bride. Played rounds of cards while the rebels lay screaming, never bothered us.
We've only an hour, Henry.
Seat me next to her in the box, I'll never forgive you. She'll look at me with those beady eyes and say something vapid. She did say something vapid. What did she say? What did she say, Clara? It was something stupid. Clara, come to the table. We've time for one game. Clara? Clara?
John? Why don't you come, John? Oh, Tad has been playing in here again. Pick up those cards, won't you, Lisbeth? Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm asking as a favor. My hands are full. Give me the fabric.
Sounded like you were instructing me.
Well, I wouldn't dare treat you that way. Don't you put the sins of my brothers on me. Why, Mr. Lincoln and I just gave $100 toward your cause, and there you stand inferring that I treat you like a house slave. Oh, put those down. Come help me, please. Oh, my. The war is over. Thank God we can put that misery right behind us. I will need a new dress for the theater. Something cheerful without looking like we are bragging. No. Can you imagine General Lee's face? Surrounded on all sides. And there he stands with his sword and his horse. And then Grant tells him to keep both, which I thought was rather generous. Oh, what a noble man General Grant would have you believe that he is, but don't be fooled. He's a butcher. He loses 2 men to the enemy's 1 and calls it a victory. I could have fought an army as well myself. Oh, and his wife, Julia Dent, she thinks herself to become First Lady someday. No, not that one. The audacity of that woman. Well, she might as well be a cyclops for all the good those crossed eyes do her. How does one walk across a room with crossed eyes? How do you find the door and enter through it?
I'm sure I don't know.
Mr. Chase would betray the president in a moment's notice. Mr. Surratt is continually wrapping him around his little finger. Johnson is a bald-faced demagogue, and General McClellan, well, to tell you the truth, he is just simply a humbug. Oh. I think that we could lower this without encroaching on immodesty, don't you?
I thought you didn't want to brag.
Poor Verena Davis, racing out of Richmond behind that despicable husband of hers with the cavalry hounds snapping at their heels. Lest we forget, you almost followed her to Richmond on her invitation. Sewing gowns for a false queen. Here, let me see that last panel. Oh, the very first gown you ever made for me was these similar colors. Roses in my hair. Oh, Mr. Lincoln thought me so lovely that night. This is the one. I will leave the neckline to you. Be bold in your design. Display as much bravery as our boys did at the front. Oh, so very similar to the first gown you ever made for me, but there was such a sadness in your making it. What had happened then?
My son was killed, fighting for the Union.
Oh, Elizabeth, I am such a fool. I am sorry. I did not forget.
4 years is a long time past.
Elizabeth, I did not forget. And you who have been so kind to me in my similar hour of need.
He come into this world in a sorrowful way. He was bound to leave it the same. His father was a plantation owner.
Oh. Well, it's no wonder I put that dress aside. Too much sadness stitched into it. And you yourself taught me that spirits cling to articles.
The great beyond is closer than we think.
Oh, and I will forever be in your debt for bringing me closer to it. Oh, my late-night conversations with Willie bring me so much pleasure and joy. But, oh, there he is. There he stands, just like I could reach out and touch him.
My George doesn't show himself, but I hear him plain as anything, singing his war songs, and I hum along.
How interesting. Why, I wonder if I could teach Willie some of those little French songs I know.
Seems like you could try.
Queen Victoria speaks to her Albert through a medium. Oh, I don't know why anybody would want to haunt her, be it void of any humor like she is. You may as well haunt a wet dish rag. But the world of the spirits is not to be taken lightly, Elizabeth, and I will be forever grateful to you for showing me the possibilities inherent therein. But I was smart to put aside that dress damp with your tears.
Yes, ma'am. Oh. I would have done the same.
Who knows what ill fortune it brought me? Oh, inadvertently. Oh, Elizabeth, we will have a new dress, a lovely new dress, no tears. Oh, Elizabeth, Washington is alive with gaiety, and we must be the best of hostesses. I should like to see Willie. Will you send for him for me?
Tad, Mrs. Lincoln. You'd like me to send for Tad?
Precisely.
You asked for Willie.
An honest mistake. I know that Willie is dead. You need not force me to relive it again and again. I must speak to Tad about leaving his toys about. We cannot live in this chaos any longer. I won't have it.
Clara?
John?
Have you heard me play Hamlet? Surratt. Have you heard me play Hamlet?
I have not.
Would you like to hear me play it?
You know I would.
The title role in Hamlet, a role I usurped from my brother Edwin. For most of my life, I was known as Edwin's brother, but for the rest of his life, he was known as mine. Act 3, Scene 2. 'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn, and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on.
You play it very well, Mr. Booth.
I have been told the same by many, but by none so fair as you. You are the South, Mrs. Surratt, the warmth and comfort of the Piedmont, your brow of rich black soil with the impenetrable will of the Blue Ridge Mountains. You are the gentility, the tradition, the insurmountable pride of the South. And I, the handsome and gracious Mississippi, with a current of mischief under its muddy surface. We are the South, Mrs. Surratt. And according to that black Republican in the White House, the last of its kind to be crushed underfoot. Would you have it be so, Mrs. Surratt? To have our skulls stomped, our brains dashed out by the heel of a nigger-loving capital?
I would not, Mr. Booth.
The credit I have given you till now is not undeserved. I see you and I are kindred in nature.
It is my son, Mr. Booth.
Your son is pliable as red clay now, and you are the shade that keeps him thus.
I have raised my children to be proud of their heritage.
Your cultivation is keen, and the tender of your seedlings is celebrated in our eyes. I have come for a favor.
I am in a terrible way, Mr. Booth.
I ask you not to deny me this.
To rent a carriage and go to the farm.
To ready the firing irons.
I did that 3 days past.
Can you not go again? Can you not make the same request?
There are spies.
And take this too.
Had you concealed that there for very long? I am not alone. I am never alone. I am in a terrible way, Mr. Booth. Tomorrow. They have told me that tomorrow. Oh, God help me.
What thought have we for tomorrow when it's tonight that matters most? Mrs. Surratt, these things I ask of you, these conversations that mean so much to me, to be in your company for hours at a time, to part with my likeness at your request.
I hid it. They came looking for you, and I hid it when I should have burned it.
You should have burned.
But I could not. To burn your like this? To throw you into an open flame?
And yet I may still be tossed headlong into flame, Mrs. Surratt.
Not by any fault of mine.
You are infallible, my dear lady. The package.
I will take it.
The firing irons.
They will be ready.
You spoke of tomorrow.
Did I?
With some import, it seemed.
I don't recall. What thought have I for tomorrow, when it is tonight that matters most?
Your son is a coward. In raising him, you kept courage for yourself.
So little time. I have so little time. Who is at the door, John? Friend of the Confederacy, Mother. Well, then he is welcome here. What name does he go by? J.B. Wilkes, sometime. Well, the name is not familiar, but he will come and sit in the parlor. The light is better, and with my eyes. Well, I can see you very well, sir. Your features. I would be delighted to listen to everything you have to say, Mr. Booth. but I have so little time.
Is he gone?
Who?
That friend of your father's. The one that stares at you.
Mr. Stanhope?
That's him. Fat, with the buttons on his vest ready to fire off a salute.
That's enough. Do you like it?
You know I love it. Is it pity we shall have to brick it up?
No jokes. Have you my gloves?
I found them for you. I keep them for myself and only bring them out of hiding when you ask for them. They are mine.
They are not yours.
If you are mine, then they are mine.
Only because I give them freely. But you are not dressed.
We've time. The carriage will not arrive until quarter to
But
8.
Henry, it is 5:30 now. You will not be ready in time.
I had set up our game, but it has been moved.
We have no time for cards, Henry.
Don't be silly. We've nothing but time. But I guess your hesitation. If you were to play opposite Mr. Stanhope, I suppose there would be time.
You do not know jealousy well, my dearest. You never did.
I will not be mocked.
Stop it. You are unwell. I will send the Lincolns our regrets.
They're certainly on their way.
Then I will walk to their carriage and make our excuses.
Stay. Please.
Not when you are like this, Henry. When you behave so foolishly, I am reminded only of the petulant boy of our youth. And I should like to think you have changed considerably since you were 11 years of age.
You laughed when he spoke.
With whom?
Mr. Stanhope!
And if Mr. Stanhope were to make love to me, I should just as soon accept him as I would laugh at his silly remarks? Henry, how can you be so childish?
I love you, Clara.
And I love you, Henry. But how little you think of me when pressed to tell it. Will you always be that little boy I first saw in the yard so many years ago?
The war made quick work of him. Antietam struck the first wound, and Fredericksburg the fatal blow.
I do not know that he is wholly gone. Trust. He will be here soon enough.
We've time for cards. We've nothing but time. I shall play alone. I am accustomed to it by now, as I have nothing but time.
But I have so little time. Elizabeth, did you put these in here? Elizabeth, I will not have these bills left where they can be discovered by anyone with an inkling to open a drawer. Elizabeth, Elizabeth, why do you not come? Why can I not find anything that I'm looking for? I do not recognize any of these things. Oh, am I perfectly alone? Oh, what is the date?
The 14th of April.
Oh, and little Eddie's birthday is already past. Oh, bright is the home he is now given, for such is the kingdom of heaven. He has gone to be with his blessed father and brothers. But why Robert, as unremarkable as he is, was not taken home instead, I will never understand.
Here are the roses.
I called for you.
I didn't hear, ma'am.
Oh, sometimes I feel so invisible, and yet I spend so much time trying to be seen and heard.
How would you like these done?
Oh, tonight, I want to look just like I did that very first time Mr. Lincoln saw me in one of your creations. Tonight, he must not be looking at the stage at all. Tonight, he must only be looking at me.
He only ever looks at you, Mrs. Lincoln.
Oh, not tonight. Tonight, I must rival the actress Laura Keene, and I dare say her beauty is only enhanced by the footlights. Oh, I need you to erase 5 years off my appearance, Lisbeth.
Years ago, when he saw you like this, he smiled. He quoted some poetry.
And the boys fell on the sofa with him. Oh.
I declare, you look charming in that dress.
Mrs. Keckley, you have met with great success. Oh, he isn't much one for rhyming and meter, but his sincerity can never be doubted.
I should think not.
He didn't know any poetry before we courted. I taught him some little French poems I learned at Madame Mentel's boarding school. Why, he was flabbergasted. He didn't say a word while I let some of those delicate French phrases sift through the air. Félix, quand est venu ce temps, dans un fiacre promené. Oh, I have forgotten the rest. It's Voltaire.
It's very nice.
Oh, and what were you doing, Elizabeth, while I was dancing the hornpipe at Madame Mentel's?
It's not polite conversation, Mrs. Lincoln.
Oh, well, it is not a shame to say that you are my best friend and that your sorrows are my sorrows. Oh, Elizabeth, one would think that you had been robbing banks in 1836 and you wanted to keep your identity a mystery.
I was whipped for my pride while you danced the hornpipe, Mrs. Lincoln.
Well, when you phrase it like that, you make me sound like I am totally impervious to the human condition.
I did not want to phrase it at all.
They didn't break your pride. They didn't even mar it.
No, ma'am, they did not. He did not.
Who did this to you?
My old master. My father. He gave me as a gift to his son, Presbyterian minister. My half-brother in all but color and deed. My brother's wife was set against me from the start, and she charged Mr. Bingham to break me.
Go on.
He made me go into the study and told me plainly he was to flog me. Strip, he said. I will not. You are not my master. Bound me then, ripped my dress to the waist, and whipped me furiously with a rawhide. The impact wasn't the worst of it, but the hesitation before, when he raised his arm, lined up the arc of his swing with my flesh. God, I could feel the torture still. I did not scream. I would not give him that. I would not give my mistress that either. She stood on the other side of the door, listening, waiting for me to collapse, to scream. My stubborn pride, which brought the lash upon my naked shoulders, was the only thing that kept me alive. Mr. Bingham spent himself on me, backing away and breathing hard. He sweat, and I bled. The next week, he beat me with a stick. He sweat, and I bled. The next week, he beat me with a heavy rope and a brand new cowhide. He sweat, and I bled. But I did not cry out. Mr. Bingham did. He cried like a baby. Leaned against the wall and swore he'd never touch me again.
The indignities suffered by your people. Mr. Lincoln was right to free the South. Just like Moses and the Jews, he led your people out of bondage. Oh, and he almost crucified himself on the cross of popularity for it, and on my counsel, I might add. Father, I said, you are too honest for this world. You should have been born a saint.
He has been a Jehovah to my people. No one can counter otherwise.
But they do, my dear.
This arrived for you.
It's from Stewart's in New York.
Is it? I'm not sure.
Did anybody see you bring me this?
I don't believe so.
Lisbeth, I am going to tell you something in the confidence of friendship because it is destroying me from the inside out.
What is it, Mrs. Lincoln?
I have contracted large debts of which the president knows nothing.
What are your debts, Mrs. Lincoln?
Well, they consist chiefly of store bills and, approximately about $27,000.
Mr. Lincoln does not suspect?
God, no. And I would not have him suspect.
No.
I value his happiness. That is what bothers me so. The Republican politicians are getting rich off of my husband's patronage, so it would only be but fair that they should help me out of my embarrassment. I shall make a demand of them, and surely they cannot refuse to extend to me any monies I may need, don't you think?
I'm not proficient in such matters, ma'am.
Well, I am sorry for burdening you with this, but I must ask your discretion. Empress Eugenie I may not be, but I will never sink to the dourness of Queen Victoria. Well, it is time to depart. I shall go see to the president. Oh, Lisbeth, thank you for the dress. You have outdone yourself once again. Oh, leave your bill in the vanity.
Clara, it's time to leave and I have not yet dressed. Clara?
John?
Have you heard me play the Duke, madam?
I have not.
Would you like to hear me play it?
You know I would.
Duke Pescara and the Apostate, my farewell to the stage with my popularity surging. Observe, I am at the height of my creative powers in my final performance at Ford's Theater. Act 3, Scene 1. No, fair maid, the daughter of Alvarez never shall be wedded to a Moor, one of that race that we had trodden down from empire's height and crushed. A damned Morisco, accursed of the church and by the laws prescribed and branded. What? You choose a Moor to swell the stream of your nobility with his polluted blood? In sooth, 'tis pleasant.
You play it very well, Mr. Booth.
I have been told the same by many. But by none so fair as you. You are the South, Mrs. Surratt.
How can it be so late? Scarcely an hour has passed, yet the bell rings again.
You are the South.
I cannot hear it, Mr. Booth. My son is not here.
Then I shall share my plans with you.
It's not wise to listen to what you have to say.
Ever my confidant till this moment now. You regret then our time together in your little parlor? Have I not spent several hours at a time in your company? Shared. When I very well could have been elsewhere, with a multitude of others.
My son is not here.
Then I shall share my plans with you.
He has been relieved of his position as postmaster. They suspect him of spying.
Better still, the information passed from me to you and you to him, than from me to him directly.
I am agreeing to this.
For the love of your son.
Perhaps.
The tyrant wishes to free the Morisco, open the doors of every plantation and flood the streets with savages. Pillage, rape. They are animals, madam. They need to remain shackled for the good of the country. What they ape like paws, they will tear down every vestige of our great homes, and we will have nothing below the Ohio River but corpses and rubble. We must kidnap him.
It is impossible.
It is not, I assure you. I stood and watched him take that oath. Again, prattling on about binding our wounds and soldiering on, and I walked away from those cheering crowds. I turned my back on that grizzled old ape and realized only too late what an excellent chance I had to kill the president right then and there. Had I but wished it.
But you do wish it.
I wish to kidnap him and hold him ransom for our boys held prisoner in northern jails.
How?
I have raised the funds and the men, Mrs. Surratt, to place ourselves here on the road to the old soldier's home. The president, I have learned, will be attending a play at a nearby hospital.
What is the play?
Still waters run deep. Implausible plot. He moves about mostly unattended. We surprise the carriage, take him by force, ferry him across the Potomac, and decry our terms.
It seems too fantastical.
The men who regularly populate your parlor will assist you. Surratt, Powell, and Harris. Relate this to your son, for I expect him to take part.
You will do it. It is a masterstroke. It is a pity you have not fought with the Confederacy, Mr. Booth. You would have risen to colonel with your intellect. Why have you never enlisted, Mr. Booth?
Madam?
I am sorry.
Madam, I had promised my dear mother that I would not put myself in harm's way. I promised that dear woman, and I am a man of my word. Though I have begun to deem myself a coward and to despise my own existence.
No.
But I mean to do my part, madam. Now you do yours. I'm ready. Clara?
John? Why don't you come?
I can hear the carriage. It will arrive at 7:45. We will sit opposite them in the carriage and go to the place where our world will change. You will wear white, and when I help you into the carriage, you will look back and smile at me. And I will be a fool and not smile back at you because I'm not interested in making small talk with Mrs. President. And I should have smiled back at you. Had I not been so adamant about not sitting next to Mrs. Lincoln, I could have been closer to the murderer. I should have been closer and seen him in my periphery and stopped him, Clara. And I should have smiled back at you when I had the chance. Clara, I'm ready to go, and I cannot leave without you. If you are sure to leave me, I will not be able to stop even that. I wish to see my wife. Bring her here, please. I wish to see my wife, for God's sake.
Henry?
Clara, I cannot. Stop.
Henry, they have arrived.
If we are to go, things should be different this time, Clara.
Henry, they are outside.
Clara, this time things will be different. I am resolved.
I am glad to hear it. You need to be pleasant, dear, even to her.
And when we are arranged in the box, I should like to be near.
No, darling. I am her friend, and she will insist that I am next to her.
Then you must decline.
I cannot do that, and I wish you would not ask me to contradict the First Lady.
It is imperative.
I don't see how.
Will you listen to me?
They are outside just now, and you make the president wait?
Tell me about our wedding.
We have not wed yet, Henry. We are these 4 years but engaged.
It is beautifully done. You should know that. Everything is as you requested.
I'm afraid you have a fever.
I am not feverish.
There can be no other explanation for your behavior, Henry.
Send them away.
What?
Send the president and his miserable wife away, and all of this will be avoided. We will be saved.
It is far too late for that. They have sat outside for a good 5 minutes now.
I will not go. You would not go either if you knew it was to happen for all the hateful scorns she'd throw at you.
I would not meet their invitation with so hasty a dismissal, Henry. Before long, they will send their footmen in to inquire on us.
And we shall block the door!
That is the sound of the drum! Henry, you are mad!
They already sing over his body. Every Negro in the South sends up a wail for their lost master Lincoln.
Why don't you come to your mother? Henry, you will get hold of yourself and come to the theater.
If you loved me, you would not ask me to go.
It is because I love you that I do ask you to go. Henry, you can no more stay here than fly through the air. And to think you can will only further your torment.
You're going to leave me.
My dearest Clara, my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me to you with the mighty cables nothing but omnipotence could break. If I do not survive this war, my dear Clara, never forget how much I love you. And when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. Forgive my many faults and the many pains I have caused you. How thoughtless and foolish I have oftentimes been. How gladly would I wash out with my tears every little spot upon your happiness. Oh, Clara, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they loved, then I shall always be with you in the garish day and the darkest night, always. Always. And if the soft breeze fans your cheek, then it shall be my breath. If the cool air cools your throbbing temples, it shall be my spirit passing by. Clara, do not mourn me, dear. Think I am gone, and wait for me, or we shall meet again. Yours, Henry.
That there is a handsomer couple anywhere in Washington, save the two of you. Why, even Mr. Lincoln and I are diminished by your charms. How are your parents?
Very fine, thank you.
Oh, the question applies to you both, but her singular answer is all that is required. It is a peculiar match you have made.
The size of the scandal is surpassed only by our devotion to each other.
Well, that is nice to hear. Major Rathbone, won't you go see to the president so that your fiancé and I can exchange pleasantries about you in your absence?
As you wish, madam.
And how is the president? I hope that he is not melancholic.
The war is only over 5 days, and the weight of the world is lifted from his shoulders. He is insistent on the relaxation that this play will surely supply. Now, my dear, I must ask you to assist me in a very confidential matter. There will be several haughty and presumptuous women in attendance tonight who will latch on to the president like leeches in a bog. And Lord help me, if that ridiculous Kate Chase is here, then if you do not restrain me, I may just run her through with a hat pin. Oh, do not laugh, my dear. All the women in Washington are suspect. Although, my Mr. Lincoln would never lead any one of them down the garden path, for he is well aware that he lost the great debate to Stephen Douglas and almost lost my hand to him as well. There is enough threat of my running off with another man, because my neck and shoulders are the envy of every woman in Washington, save you, my dear. So, if you see Mrs. L or Mrs. D, and particularly Miss S, heading towards the president, well, please do try to distract him. And if I am not within earshot of your screams, then, well, simply burn the theater down to sound the alarm.
The box is prepared, and the play has begun.
Oh, I am afraid we are already half hour late, and our entrance will stop the show. Well, we must just suffer the cheers and take a bow or two. So, shall we go up and ask the actors to applaud for a change? Yes.
Military band plays, but it is not yet sunrise.
He did not come!
My son?
The president, madam. He did not leave Washington the night we meant to abduct him. We sat there like idiots alongside a dirty street waiting for him. He did not come!
But my son was there. He did not lose his nerve.
What nerve was to be lost, madam, when the act did not present itself? Yes, your son was there, spouting stupidities. Should he not have been here by now? Where are we to go if discovered? Well, he has all the fortitude of a mouse faced with a corn snake.
Do not be too harsh with him. His own father set a poor example of masculinity.
What fools we looked, standing there, staring at each other, waiting for the sun to go down, burlap sack in hand. The quiet of the road mocking us, broken only by Lewis Powell whistling as he pissed in an alley. Shut up! They laughed at me. At Surratt, sputtering German obscenities while walking away, and Harold's sad, pathetic eyes do it as a woman. Have I not made his contributions plain to you?
So, you are defeated.
I would do my part.
And I mean to do my part.
How
As you
so?
said. President is to be at Ford's Theater tonight.
What?
He is to see Miss Laura Keene.
Our American cousin. Tonight?
You know it?
Every line. Every misbegotten joke.
Are you to go so soon?
I've scant little time.
I have no time at all.
I will need your son.
But he is in Elmira, New York, on errand for the Confederacy.
The war is over, madam. Your son scurries about as if Dixie plays in the streets of Washington. I have use for him now. Tonight.
I want to know what you will do.
Then I will tell you.
It is not wise to listen.
You wish to remain ignorant?
I don't know. If I were to ask, would God condemn me?
No, Mrs. Surratt, for I allow God to use me as his tool of judgment. Lewis Powell would depart for the home of William H. Seward, Secretary of State. Under pretense of bringing medicine to the bedridden old man, he will push past the doorman, stab no less than 5 members of the household, and slash Seward's throats.
But everyone survives, even the Secretary of State.
Harold waits outside with Powell's horse, and the two of them escape into the night.
Harold is a coward. Hearing the first scream, he turns and runs.
That's right. The terror of Thuringia bides his time inside the Kirkwood house, where Vice President Andrew Johnson is lodged. He will pass him on the staircase and casually gut him from stem to stern.
Azarel will get drunk at the hotel bar and lose his nerve.
I am speaking. Mind your betters.
I bought my freedom, massa. Ain't no one here my better.
But you've left yourself out, Mr. Booth.
Have I? I've only left the most triumphant act for myself. having complete access to the theater on which I have fretted more than an hour upon the stage, I will creep unmolested upstairs to the presidential box, and once there, peer through the hole I had previously bored through the door. There, the coarse-haired jackass sits, reveling in our demise. When I walk in, bar the door, take aim and wait. Wait for the biggest laugh of the evening from the unsuspecting audience. It is in this moment I take my time. I indulge myself just a little bit. A hero is about to come into his own.
You've left out poor Mary, Mr. Booth.
Will you be still, you Hottentot bitch?
Answer her, Mr. Booth.
You said you would do your part, Mrs. Surratt. Don't you forget that.
Answer her, Mr. Booth.
I'll do it. Lewis Powell will wander for 3 days after his attack on William Seward. He is unfamiliar with the twisting roads of Washington. There's only one house to which he is familiar, and it is to that house he will return, the comfortable parlor of Mrs. Mary Surratt, where he has spent many hours in the company of friends, chatting. When Powell arrives, the parlor is full up with officers questioning you about the whereabouts of your son, John.
Is this true?
Mrs. Surratt, I have a present for you.
You claim you do not know Lewis Powell.
It is a copy of my likeness.
Powell claims you do, and you are taken to jail.
I will sign that if you wish.
Am I to die for this? This plan of yours?
I have come for a favor.
I'm in a terrible way, Mr. Booth.
I ask you not to deny me this.
To rent a carriage and go to the farm.
To ready the firing irons.
I did that 3 days past.
Can you not go again? Can you not make the same request?
There are spies.
And take this too.
Had you concealed that there for very long? I am not alone. I am never alone. I am in a terrible way, Miss. Tomorrow. They have told me that tomorrow. Oh, God, help me.
What thought have we for tomorrow when it's tonight that matters most? Mrs. Surratt, these things I ask of you.
No.
These conversations that mean so much to me.
No.
To be in your company for hours at a time.
I am to be executed tomorrow.
To part with my life is at your request.
I am to be hanged.
Shadow, a poor play that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. I never played Macbeth.
over.
Elizabeth! Elizabeth, why do you not
Never
come?
forget.
I have sent for you.
Never forget how
Three
much I
times. I have sent for you. You do not come to me in
My
my
last
greatest hour of
Escapes
need.
me, Rebecca.
Oh.
She'll whisper.
Why didn't he kill me instead? Why was I not the one? Where is my
Please forgive me.
husband?
Many troubles. Many pains. Pains I've often caused you.
Miss Harris,
Mrs. Lincoln,
where's my husband?
you have taken him back to the White House, Mrs.
Oh,
Lincoln.
then he's dead.
At daybreak he died. You fainted when you last said goodbye to him.
Each time it is the same. Why did he not kill me instead? Why was I not the one? He has gone to be with Annie and Willie. He never spoke to me. Not one single word from beyond the shadows to bring me
Oh,
peace.
Clara.
3 of us on earth.
I
And
did.
3 of us in heaven. And those of us left on earth are the far less fortunate. Oh, what is to become of me if Tad dies as well?
My dearest Clara.
Your husband is alive?
Yes, Mrs. Lincoln. But you remember we are not yet married.
Oh, yes, of course.
He has lost so much blood. I have arranged for a carriage to take him home. The streets are choked with angry mobs. If I do not get him into the carriage now, I will lose it.
But you will stay with me, Miss Harris. You will get him settled in the carriage and then come back to me, for I cannot bear to be here alone.
I have stayed with you all night, Mrs. Lincoln. You should go home.
Oh, I have no home. Oh, the president is not yet cold, and I pack my bags with such violent haste. Oh, I am convinced that the vice president conspired to kill my husband, for he is, and always has been, a dubious and untrustworthy man. And the new messenger, who was to be guarding the presidential box at all times, guffawing at the play while the villain crept in. I am sure he had a part in it, and I will have answers from him if he is not already hanged.
Am I in the bed, Henry?
Oh, please, Miss Harris, forgive me if I do not help you, for I am so weak. Alas, it is all over for
Is
me.
he dead? Clara, is the president dead? Is he alive? Is he alive, Clara?
Elizabeth! Elizabeth! Why do you not come to me, Elizabeth? Why do you not come, Mr. Booth? Not come.
He is safely on his way. The carriage had not left in the chaos, thank God.
You must covered with my husband's sainted blood.
Mrs. Lincoln,
Must be paraded before me.
I'm sorry, I have nothing to cover it.
Parading your still living fiancé before me is insult enough, but this is unforgivable.
I'm innocent of any malicious intent. The circumstances.
Miss Harris, I know the circumstances entirely well. You need not trumpet them for my sake. Oh, it is spattered with my husband's blood. Oh, it should not be worn. It has become a relic, like your dress. My husband's sainted blood has made it so.
I have proved myself to be more hindrance than help, I'm afraid. I will take my leave of you.
Miss Harris, wait, Miss Harris. You must be very patient with me in this time, because I have never felt such grief. And I am convinced I shall be crushed under the weight of it.
Of course, I'm sorry. I am unsure of how to conduct myself.
Oh, you have been perfectly fine, Miss Harris. Perfectly fine. You have been a great source of help to me, Miss Harris.
I am glad to hear it.
Though, could it be stated, and I think it is best that you hear this from me, Miss Harris, because it is something that will affect your still surviving Major Rathbone for a long period of time.
Yes?
Could it be stated that perhaps there was more that your fiance could have done to help save the president?
I'm sorry?
Miss Harris, I do not think that you are aware of the true nature of gossip mongers in the capital. I am simply trying to prepare you for what may be very bad impersonations that there was a lack of assistance on your fiance's part when it came to saving our beloved president.
Lack of assistance. Mrs. Lincoln, my husband flung himself at the assassin without care for personal safety and nearly had his arm slashed to shreds. I hardly think that constitutes cowardice on his part.
Thank you, but acted sooner.
The gunshot took the entire audience by surprise. I myself thought it was part of the play.
Allowing him to leap over the balcony, evading apprehension.
There was nothing that could have been done differently. I am sure of it.
Do not become defensive on my part, Miss Harris. For I am simply trying to prepare you for what may be a very difficult time in Major Rathbone's life. These are not my thoughts. They are not even my words. They are simply unpleasant speculations that will spin untiringly like whirly bees.
I certainly hope not.
And if you decide to follow through with your engagement to Major Rathbone, they will become your troubles too.
They are already my troubles, Mrs. Lincoln. Major Rathbone is a hero. I will not abandon him.
My husband is the greater hero, and he abandoned me. I should like to return to the White House. My children need me. When in truth, it is I who need them. Do you think there will be any difficulty for a former First Lady to obtain the carriage? I hope that is not the case.
You are the South, Mrs. Surratt.
You came.
You used to call for your son.
He is in Canada now. I do not think I shall see him again. But you came.
I am here. Was that the 8 o'clock bell?
I believe so. I'm afraid I have lost count, though it is all I have to keep myself occupied.
Aren't you curious?
About what?
How I fared.
I know how you fared.
And
I prefer not to dwell on mistakes.
now, Mrs. Surratt, don't tell me you are prone to changing your spots. I had you pegged for a dyed-in-the-wool daughter of the Confederacy.
I prefer life to cold allegiance.
And I do not.
Well, we needn't agree on everything, Mr. Booth.
No, not everything. Just the important matters. And I thought we did. Do you know what the papers call me, Mrs. Surratt? The Southern newspapers? A yellow-bellied ass. A coward born of misguided duty. And my brother will surely feel vindicated when he reads about the shame of the Booth family. a false actor and fiend of these reunited states. What other glory Brutus found in the slain of Caesar was wholly used up on him, for there is none, madam, left for me. Will you mourn me, Mrs. Surratt?
I have mourned you these 3 months past. Perhaps more than I have mourned my own fate.
Do you still have a copy of my likeness?
No.
Haven't you one tucked into the pages of your Bible?
No.
That's a pity. I should like to think it would have brought you comfort at a time like this.
I have my memories. Sound of your horse slowing at the gate. Sound of your footfalls on the porch step. The way your curls would dishevel so perfectly at the removal of your hat. Smell of your tobacco advancing on me from your pipe. Ghostly smoke ringing your face as though you were made of some sort of fragrant magic. Your wry smile at the delivery of a cunning remark could leave me cleft in twain for days. And were you to deliver that remark while leaning rakishly against the frame of my parlor door, well, you asked me once while we sat by the fire if I had ever loved my husband, or had I ever truly loved at all. I told you that I had not loved my husband, nor, for that matter, ever truly loved at all. But you pierced me, Mr. Booth. With those sharply cut eyes. And without a single word, you wrested from me my confession. And only now do I realize I was all too eager to give it. Following your act of mercy toward the south, I hid your portrait behind a faded print hanging on the parlor wall. That portrait, which shielded you from the world, was appropriately titled Morning, Noon, and Night. No. I do not carry your likeness on my person, Mr. John. But in my heart, well, there you will find it. Morning, noon, and night.
A prettier soliloquy has never been uttered.
I am not done, sir.
Well, I beg your pardon.
With so much importance placed on whether I maintained your portrait, it occurred that I have never asked the same of you.
Mrs. Surratt, I have never been offered a portrait of you. Had I been, surely it would have become a treasured memento.
And surely you would have kept it in your diary, where it would have been discovered by soldiers, along with the portraits of 5 other women, one of whom was your fiance, Mr. Booth.
Miss Lucy Hale and I have become secretly engaged.
Oh, well, did you? I complied with everything you asked of me. Everything.
For the Confederacy.
For the Confederacy.
For the bold and brilliant South.
You are the South, Mr. Booth. A woman my age.
Would you allow me? Have you heard me play Romeo, Mrs. Surratt?
No,
Would you like to hear me play it?
no, Mr. Booth.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, or Juliet.
No! Mr. Booth. I have so little time. I will be hanged at 10 and it's already 9.
You are in pain, Mrs. Surratt.
It is constant and cannot be helped.
I wish to see her.
You hear? They have built the scaffold. They are sending for me.
Soldiers surrounded the barn. By God, they will not take me alive.
I wish to see my wife, and I will see my wife!
Henry.
Clara, they told me I could not see you. They told me you were dead.
Oh, Henry.
But you have not yet changed?
I fell asleep.
And that is his blood.
They say that it is.
Is he dead?
Yes, he is
Oh
dead.
my God.
Henry, you must
Oh
calm
my
yourself.
God. How could this happen? I resolved things would be different.
Darling, you are
I
tired.
have sat here for years and thought every detail through, and yet it happens again and again the same.
You must go back to bed.
How can I sleep when he can never wake up?
It is not your fault, Henry.
I've just done something different.
Oh,
What?
it's just Mary Lincoln said.
What did she say? Yes, please, tell me what that old shrew said.
She said you would blame yourself. That you would be hard on yourself.
And so shouldn't I?
No, Henry, you shouldn't.
The South will rise up. They have cut the head from her government. Ragtag rebel armies, cripples and old men, cheering in Charleston, Atlanta, hoisting indoctrinated children onto their shoulders with a wild whoop while stomping a Negro's face into the charred stone foundations of their wrecked homes. Oh, what a celebration as they clamber together down the dirt trail to Vicksburg. Back to the guns of Antietam. A single shot has wiped clean the grimy slate of war, and with renewed vigor, they will attack, firing back the bullets that we lodged in their limbs. And they will charge, limping with bayonets pointed at the bellies of northern babies. They will come, and we are all but lost. What I could have done differently
You
was
were nothing but courageous.
courageous. And what did my courage bring this country? Did it bring us the killer? After he stabbed me, I grabbed his coat as he leapt from the balcony. Surely this small but feeble act was enough to delay him, so we could arrest him. Have we arrested him?
No.
Oh my
I
God!
don't know where he is.
Oh my
but
God.
darling, they will find him and the nation will think you a hero for doing what you could.
Did Mary Lincoln think me a hero?
In so many words,
Did she think I did what I could?
I understood her to feel that.
If I had been slightly more the hero, her children would still have a father.
Henry, no! Henry!
Why didn't he kill me?
You will
Why
bleed to
wasn't
death!
I the one?
I cannot live without you, Henry! You understand that you are my life? You are my life, Henry. My very life. Do you remember the first time you kissed me? Father had bought me new shoes. We were at the summer cottage in Albany. And the stairs. Standing so proudly at the top of those stairs, I took one step in my new shoes and slid the whole length down on my backside. And you ran over to me. You were so full of concern for a boy of 13. So full of a great gentleness, Henry. And I looked up at you through my tears and my embarrassment, and I was just about to cry, to wail, really. And you kissed me. And I was
did you not come to me last night, Lisbeth? I sent for you. 3 times I sent for you.
The messenger never found me. Mrs. Lincoln.
I do not know if it is you who comforts me or I who comforts you.
I am so sorry, Mrs. Lincoln. I don't know what to say to you. He was no ordinary man. Would you know that?
I understand what you are saying. Thank you.
Moment of his greatest triumph and take our Moses away.
He has gone away. He has died for the sin of slavery. He is not much unlike our Lord Jesus Christ.
You don't think they'll send us free blacks back to the South? They will undo everything he has done. They will make us slaves again.
Oh, no, Elizabeth. The chickens are out of the coop, and the coop has been pressed black. You have nothing to worry about, Elizabeth. I promise.
I'll go back to my old home, but not in chains. It will be to show my old master's family how well I've done for myself. I don't think they'll be unkind. I'm a credit to their name.
Yes, you are. It is I who will be dragged from the White House in chains before I let that drunkard Johnson touch one sheet of the president's paper. Where's Ted?
Asleep
And Robert?
with your husband.
Oh, speak no more. I cannot bear to picture it.
His premonition come to pass. Mr. Lincoln.
What are you talking about?
Mr. Lincoln shared a dream with me. Take no offense by it, Mrs. Lincoln. I was combing his hair after the fall of Richmond when he told me.
Oh, it is not my ignorance of the dream that bothers me. It is my dread of what it is that he may have seen. Will you tell?
Of course. He told me that in his dream he was awakened by the sound of weeping, what seemed to him like a great many people. He moved through the house following the sound, and he came to the east room. And there he found the mourners surrounding a casket. He said, "Who is dead in the White House?" "The president," they replied, and commenced their tearful vigil.
It cannot be so.
I swear it's the truth, Mrs. Lincoln.
Why am I surprised? His dreams were often prescient. Oh. Has any woman ever felt such grief as I?
No, ma'am.
Oh, it is all over for me.
May I go and see him?
Where have they placed him?
In the guest room.
The same room where beautiful Willie had laid in his coffin?
Yes, ma'am, the very same.
You may go, but I will never again set foot in that cursed room. Oh, 3 of us on earth, and 3 of us in heaven.
And those of us on earth, ever under the wings of those in heaven.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. What is it you are holding on to?
His inaugural glove, ma'am. The one you were kind enough to give me.
Oh, here. Here, take these 2. They are spattered with my husband's sainted blood. I cannot bear to keep them, and yet I do not want to give them away, but in leaving them with you, I shall be able to accomplish both.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, go to him. Say your goodbyes, for I will be saying mine for the rest of my life. Oh. How sadly similar I have become to Queen Victoria. We are now sisters in grief. Though I have fared worse than she, One assassin took my husband's life so violently.
He used to call me Madam Elizabeth. And that's how he made me feel.
Oh, Abraham? Abraham? Abraham, are you there? Oh, Abraham, speak to me. Have you gone to be with Eddie and Willie? Have the angels crowned you, Abraham? Oh, Abraham, why will you not speak to one who misses you and loves you?
Surratt, we, your counsel, have obtained a writ of habeas corpus on your behalf, finding the use of a military tribunal outside the jurisdiction of your case. Oh, thanks be to God. You will be extricated from prison before midday, unless President Johnson should cancel said writ. Have hope, clamp it and ache. And in these few words, the sound of the bell has lost its terrible power. For I am conscious of nothing against myself. Yet I am not by this acquitted. The one who examines me is the Lord. 1 Corinthians.
Henry? Henry, wake up. Husband.
What is it?
We received an invitation.
From the Lincolns.
No, dear, from the Grants. Julia Grant has invited us to dinner tonight.
Do you want to go?
I think it would be nice. You've been in bed for a week, and I'm becoming quite restless, to be honest.
I need time to recover.
It's been 4 years, darling. President Grant has invited us to dinner tonight. You have agonized and grieved for so long, and I have been very patient, Henry.
You do not understand.
I want children, Henry. Your children. We used to talk so fondly about the family
We have a family,
We
Clara.
have no family, Henry. Sometimes I feel like I don't even have you. When you stop talking to me, when it's only you and I in the house, I have to tell myself that it's not my fault, that you are distracted and not merely hateful towards me.
I had just done something different.
There is nothing that could have been done differently, Henry. It's over. It has been over for some time now, and yet you torment yourself for the crime of a villain who is long dead. I would like to accept the invitation from the Grants. I would like us
Perhaps
to
you could
go
just...
without you. Yes, I suppose I could. even if you went, you wouldn't really be there.
I was going to say, perhaps you could take another man. Captain Franklin is charming and witty. Who would blame you if you divorced me for him? Do you not think I could bring myself to blame you?
Why do you despise me so?
I try very hard to live, Clara. I do try.
Oh, I see I am not reason enough to succeed in that endeavor.
Clara.
We have been robbed of each other.
No.
I fear you will go mad and I will be left behind.
You will leave me. I will not be able to stop even that.
Please, Henry.
Shh. My beautiful wife.
And I fear I will go mad too. I heard his laughter this morning as I was waking from a dream.
Who?
President Lincoln.
You heard him laugh?
It was as if he still enjoyed that silly play.
From where did the laughter come?
From the hall, the guest room.
From where you keep that white dress that you wore that night?
Yes?
What is the date today?
I do not wish to tell you, Henry.
It is clear to me now. We must get rid of that dress.
No, Henry, we cannot.
It has brought his spirit into this house, Clara, into our house.
It's covered in his blood, Henry. I cannot throw it away.
Then we shall burn it.
It would be a sin, Henry.
It must not stay in this house, Clara.
I will not have it destroyed by either of us.
Then we shall brick it up in the closet where it hangs.
This madness, Henry.
Then I will tend to it. And after I've finished, we'll dress for dinner with the Grants.
I will let them know we accept.
Very good. Wait.
It is the appointed time, yet they do not come to take me to die. Oh, pray God indeed that I am saved.
You are here.
Yes.
You did not come to me last night, Elizabeth. I sent for you. 3 times I sent for you.
I've only just arrived by train, Mrs. Lincoln.
You should have left the city early. How do you find our adopted Chicago?
It's very fine.
Tad and I only have these few dismal rooms. Robert insisted that he rent on his own. Though I cannot understand why he would want to be away from a mother who loves him so. I am convinced he is trying to murder me. There's a voice that speaks to me through a wall. That one there, belonging to a Mr. Schumann. He tells me many important things. That's how I knew about the fire. This hotel will be next, so we cannot stay here very much longer. It will happen at night. So I'll stay up and keep watch. I have informed the management. They are grateful.
How is Tad?
2 years into mourning the loss of his father, how do you expect him to be?
Mrs. Lincoln.
Do you have a banker's check for me, Mrs. Keckley? From the sale of my personal items in New York City under the care of
Brady and Company. Yes, ma'am. $824.20. The item sold was 1 diamond ring, a set of furs.
I am well aware of the pathetic number of items that were sold during your 5-month stay at 609 Broadway.
Well, there were always large crowds.
But but never large sales. Being a bumpkin from Springfield, I suppose my taste does not meet that of the New York City woman.
It wasn't that. People were saying the clothes were torn and stained.
Robert read me the papers in a very loud and condescending voice. I need not be reminded of the public's opinion of the old clothes sale, or the public's opinion of me. Desperate and grasping. The impoverished widow of our beloved President Lincoln, shameless and surely insane with grief. And it is the public who should be ashamed that they have turned their backs on me.
I have another check, too. From the 15th Street Presbyterian Church. A great many colored people contributed to your cause, Mrs. Lincoln. Mr. Frederick Douglass aided me in my work. Not everyone turned their back on you, ma'am.
I am not so destitute that I have forgotten how to be grateful to those who remain loyal to President Lincoln and his family. So for that, I thank you. But I am also not so mad with grief that I have lost my compass for propriety. Are these your words?
Mrs. Lincoln.
Answer me.
Yes.
For 5 months, you were in New York City. And for every 5 letters I sent you in a week, I received but 1 in return. What could have been devouring your time so? Behind the Scenes by Elizabeth Keckley. 30 years a slave and 4 years in the White House. And what good years they were to you, Mrs. Keckley. And what a good soul I was for taking you in.
I earned that position, Mrs. Lincoln.
I gave you that position, Mrs. Keckley.
People were speaking poorly about you in New York, Mrs. Lincoln. They were saying, why throw good money after bad? And they were laughing at me for helping you. I wrote that for us, to defend our honest intentions.
And your honesty was so pervading that you had to expose my dad and my opinions of politicians and their wives.
Mrs. Lincoln.
There are 24 of our most private conversations printed in here for the whole world to read.
My finances. Mrs. Lincoln, I'm in a terrible way.
Now comes the truth at last. God, what a revelation.
You promised to pay me.
You know I don't have the funds.
You kept me from opportunities in Washington.
If you had done more sewing in New York City, instead of penning this libelous trash, you would have come out just fine. Do not expect to have your Washington clientele intact should you return home, Mrs. Keckley. Any debutante wanting one iota of privacy would do well to stay clear of you. You must leave now. I have a 3 o'clock meeting with a wandering Jew who stole a pocketbook and some spectacles from me. I trust I will read a transcript of this encounter in your next publication.
Better you hear it from me, Mrs. Lincoln. That I found it necessary to sell those items you gave me, which once belonged to Mr. Lincoln. His glove, comb, and brush, and your bonnet and shawl covered with his sainted blood. It was painful.
Get out!
remain here forever, then?
Have you seen my gun, Mrs. Surratt?
I have not, Mr. Booth.
I dropped it in the damn theater box, and I have great need for it now.
Why?
The barn is surrounded by soldiers, madam. They mean to kill me, and I mean to defend myself.
If you were to surrender.
Surrender myself to a people who deem me a common cutthroat. I'm in this alone, Mrs. Surratt. I see that now.
How can you say that?
I was cheered for my part in the lynching of John Brown, but now virtue has turned to vice.
You have never acted alone.
And the coward of the South fears repercussions for my actions. It is not the country I knew after all I have done.
After all you have done?
Yes, Mrs. Surratt, after all I have done. Do you imagine your contribution so great?
I have contributed nothing, sir.
Or your phantom son? Do you imagine him the great hero?
Mr. Booth.
Off he ran like a scared rabbit, leaving his mother to the gallows. Oh yes, what a great man your John is, Mrs. Surratt.
Miserable thing you are, Mr. Booth.
People may say what they wish, but I will be remembered as a patriot. A true patriot that abandoned all that is good in life to sacrifice himself for his country.
I've never known a more selfish man.
And you would curse me as well.
Yes, if it would save my son, yes.
And would you die for him?
My husband would drink and beat my son until he bled. Call him weak, a coward, a scared rabbit. My boy would cry out for me, reach up with both arms while I scream. I would get between them and end up bleeding too. I can handle the blows of my husband, but not the cries of my child. He is a grown man now. But I plead for him still.
He is fortunate to have you, though you are unfortunate to have him. They've set the barn on fire.
Are you trying to escape?
My leg is broken, madam, I cannot.
Yet you remain so perfect in my memory.
Preserve me there, intact.
Morning, noon, and night.
Have you heard me play Brutus, madam?
I have not.
Would you like to hear me play?
You know I would.
Brutus in Julius Caesar, my favorite role. Act 2, Scene 1. Oh, that we could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar. But alas, Caesar must bleed for it.
Oh, God. Oh, Mr. Booth! The prisoner, Mary Surratt, will be extricated from prison before midday unless President Johnson should cancel said writ.
Useless.
Unless President Johnson should cancel.
Useless.
Abraham?
Cancel said writ.
Abraham, are you there?
Clara?
Abraham, speak to me.
Clara, where are you?
Will no one come for me?
Tad?
I wish to leave. I do not belong here.
Eddie?
I've done nothing wrong.
I am innocent.
I wish to see my wife.
I am innocent.
Willie?
Clara?
I am innocent.
Abraham?
Where is my wife?
Henry,
I am here.
how are you feeling?
What is the date?
I do not wish to tell you, Henry.
What is the date?
Henry,
I have a burning pain in my arm. A terrible pain.
The 14th of April.
And that is why.
you received a letter from General Sumner.
I read it.
What did it say?
That I have been relieved of my position.
Oh. You will find another.
I will lose that one as well. I will always be relieved of my position. Where are the children?
Just outside in the hall. They want to see you.
Henry Jr., Gerald, and little Clara.
I promised to be quiet, Henry. I made them promise.
It amazes me how you dote on them.
I love them. They are our children.
Our little family. You and I used to live for each other for so many happy years, and now you live for them.
Henry.
A curiosity in my own home.
No, Henry.
A shadow. Feared. The way Henry looks at me.
He loves you so much.
And I don't know that he is mine. I don't know that any of them are.
Henry.
I found a case in the guest room closet, packed with some of your things.
That's not possible.
I know what I saw.
Henry, please.
I know what I saw. Why are you wearing that?
Wearing what?
Take it off.
What are you talking
Take
about?
off that dress, that goddamn dress!
Henry, you are not well.
I bricked it up again. You have it on?
Henry, please.
Is that dress the last thing to pack? Now you're ready to leave me?
No.
Are you leaving with Mr. Stanhope?
Henry.
Or is it Captain Franklin?
Henry, please.
It is Captain Franklin. And I suppose had he been there that night, he would have done something different and made you a very proud wife. Oh, they can hear me?
Yes, Henry.
All right. Guess I should just kill the little
Henry,
bastards.
no.
Better they were dead than live with a ridiculed father.
Henry, you are not well. I will send them away.
Send them away? You mean you're taking them away?
No.
No?
No, Henry.
No. No. Before you leave, let's go through it one last time.
Henry.
For the children, just beyond the door.
My dearest Clara, my famous necklace seems to bind me to you with light cables nothing but omnipotence could break. If I do not survive this war,
We go
my dear
into the
Clara, never
theater
forget how much I love you.
and up the stairs.
And when my last
You
breath
sit
escapes
next to
me on
Mrs.
the
Lincoln.
battlefield, I will whisper your name.
You sit next to Mrs. Lincoln!
And the many faults, the many pains I have caused you.
And I sit on your right.
How thoughtless and foolish I have oftentimes been.
You are dressed as you are.
When I washed up with my tears, I
And I'm
will
very
respond
much in
upon
love
your
with you.
happiness. Oh,
And
Clara.
we laugh a great deal
The dead can go
because we're
back to
so
this earth, and
happy.
find unseen around
And
those
because of this,
I will always be with you in the garish day and the darkest night. Always.
I don't hear
always.
anything.
Abraham. And gloomiest hours.
And I don't
always,
see
Clara.
anything.
Abraham.
But he's there.
Hang on and wait for me. For we shall.
And he's armed.
No.
And he shoots him in the head.
It is midday, Mr. Booth. Will no one come for me?
Please don't leave. I wish to see my wife.
Abraham!
John.